Hey guys, Cameron here. I'm out in the greenhouse right now. Sorry about the noise. It's a little windy. I closed the door, but the greenhouse is moving around quite a bit. I was going to water everything right now, and I figured I'd show you a little update on how everything in the greenhouse is doing. I planted a couple more things since the original video. It's been, I believe, about 4 or 5, maybe 6 weeks since I planted everything. And most everything is doing pretty good. There's a couple things that are coming up a little slower, but I will show you everything now. And yeah, I think it's going at a pretty good rate. I got all the lumber I need to build my raised beds. So I'll have to get on that this week probably, because I figure in another week or so I'm gonna be planting in the ground. So that'll be exciting. But I will show you everything now. We'll start with the first tray and go on from there. So here we have carrots. You can see all these little clumps of carrots coming up. They're coming up pretty good. There's smaller ones coming up here. Then this row's empty. Then this row is yellow squash or summer squash. As you can see, they're doing pretty good. There's a couple that didn't come up. They might come up later, or they might the seeds might have not been any good. But that's 8 plants, and you're gonna get dozen or so squash from each plant, so that's going to be more than enough for us. These big ones are zucchini, and they're, as you can see, doing great. I think they're really liking the heat in the greenhouse. This little one wasn't up yesterday when I came out, and it's up now, so you can see how fast stuff grows. Most of these are starting to develop their next leaves. The first 2 leaves that come up are what first comes out of the seed when you plant it. And then after that, they start to sprout stuff out of the middles of the plants. Ooh, greenhouse is moving a lot. Okay, so these are green peppers. They're not a whole lot of them are coming up, but see, there's a really small one there. There's one here, one here, one here, there. But I was hoping to get more of those, but no luck in there. Then if we go down to the lower shelf, we've got, these are beefsteak tomatoes. These are just weeds, but these sharp leaves are beefsteak. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So far we've got 5 of those. This little thing here, I think, is a beefsteak. And then we've got another 2 rows of them here, which there's quite a few more growing over here. This big one is actually a spaghetti squash that I saved the seeds out of, that I got at the grocery store. So that one's growing nicely. And then there's another one here. This is also spaghetti squash that it still has the leaves haven't developed enough yet to knock the seed casing off. So that is how they grow up, and then the casing falls off, and then the leaves spread apart. And then there's another one here, but I think it's, oh yeah, this one didn't make it. This one died. But we've got that one, and then there's something coming up here that came out of a seed. And I am not sure what it is, but I'm gonna let that grow only because it's actually coming out of a seed. I only planted 1 spaghetti squash seed in this slot, so I'm not sure what that is. But moving on, over here, these are cherry tomatoes. So these are doing very well in this row, and these are also cherry tomatoes. So almost all of those came up, so that's pretty good. Now if we stand up over here, we'll go to the other side. And so these are, we'll come back to this row after, but these, all of these leaves and all of these leaves are all Brussels sprouts. And there's multiple plants in each one, so I'll have to split them up once they get bigger. But a lot of Brussels sprouts came up, which is good because I eat a lot of Brussels sprouts. And this little guy came up, and to me, this looks like a tomato plant. Because if you look at that, and then you come back and you look at the tomato plants over here, it looks very similar. So this compost that I use is from my compost bin, and there's definitely a lot of tomatoes in there. So I think that that is a tomato that survived the winter in my compost bin and is now growing in here, which is pretty cool. I kind of like it when that kind of stuff happens. So this row and this row are a really strange variety of squash that I found at, I think it was Stop and Shop. It was either Stop and Shop, or Price Chopper. And I found this weird squash. It was called like it started with a K. It was like kombucha or kombuka or something like that. And it turns out it's basically just a really big eggcorn squash. But as you can see, we have a seed coming up here, and we have one coming up here. So that means that the seeds that were in it were fertile, which I was kind of wondering whether or not they would be, because they aren't always when you get them at the store. But at least two of them were. And then here we've got cucumbers coming up, quite a few of them. I only planted the 2 rows. See, there's that little webbing there. That's the seed that this plant came out of. So when these get bigger, they'll spread that web apart. See, like in this one, that seed casing is still on the end here, and I'm not gonna pull it off, but when that leaves get big enough, they'll pop that off and open like these ones. So then moving on, we've got some eggplant, which none of the eggplants were up yesterday when I checked, and now we've got one in almost every one of the trays, which is very good. Okay, so down here we've got some snap peas, which are coming in. I wasn't sure if the snap peas would grow, because snap peas prefer to grow in, they can grow in the cold. So I probably could have just planted these right outside, but I planted them in here with everything else. And as you can see, we've got 2 here, 2 here, so some coming up here. I think these are them. Then we've got 2 good ones here and a little one here. So that's a lot. That's pretty good. And then I think this is just a weed, because I didn't plant anything in there. It's not even really growing in anything. But we'll leave it there. I think it's just grass. And then here, this row and this row is all corn, which I was hoping more of it would come up, but looks like we've got 2, 4, 8 stalks of corn growing. So that's pretty good. I'm gonna have to find some way to keep the birds out of that. But yeah, we're getting pretty close to planting in the ground, and that's probably when I'll make my next plant video. Will be when I transfer everything to the big garden. But yeah, I'm really pleased with how the zucchini is doing. They're getting really big. Same with the yellow squash. But yeah, that's it for today, and I'll get to water and everything, and we'll lock the greenhouse up. Try to keep some heat in it for overnight. Shouldn't get too cold, but Definitely don't want to let all the heat out in the evening, because then it won't have any residual heat to last overnight. But yeah, that's it for today. So definitely, if you have any questions about the greenhouse or the plants or the soil mixture, leave them in the comments below. Make sure to give me a big thumbs up, and as always, like and subscribe if you like the content and you want to see more content. I'm still getting the hang of how my video editor works, so I apologize for the really sudden transitions. But yeah, we will see you next time.